Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Nasa's Thread. If you're seeing this channel for the first time, thank you for stopping by, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Today on the channel, we'll be learning how to make this trendy palazzo trouser with a side pleat. If it's something you're interested in, keep watching. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel, please do well to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let's get started. So you'll be needing at least 3 yards of fabric for this. I made use of a Duchess. You can use crepe, okay, for yours. Now, to get the width of your fold for the front, you're going to divide your hip by 4 plus your hip divided by 20 plus 6 inches. So this is what I'm trying to explain. You divide your hip by 4, then you divide your hip by 20. You're going to add what you get together, and then you're going to add 6 inches of an allowance to that. So after doing my division, I had 19 inches. So what I have here is on fold. Remember, I'm supposed to have 2 pieces for the front, okay, and I just went ahead to cut it out using a length of 45 inches, and then I pinned it down. I hope you got that. Now what we're going to do is to ensure that this is placed properly, and then we can start taking our measurements. Now at the top of my piece, I will just go ahead and mark my starting line at the top. Okay, that's because the top of the fabric fold I have here is actually not equal, so I'm just going to roll a line at the top to serve as my starting line. So after getting that line, I will just go ahead from that line to mark half of an inch. This will serve as my joining allowance for when I'm attaching my band to my piece, and I will just mark it, just make a line at that point. So this is where my measurement is going to start, from this second line, not the first one. Okay, so don't make that mistake of starting from the first one. Start a measurement from the second line. Now I want to make use of a band of 1.5 inches for this trouser, so I'm going to place that 1.5 inches on that second line, and then go ahead and mark my hip point, and from there I will mark my crouch depth. So you divide your hip by 4, and then you add 1 inch to that to get the crouch depth. That's because this trouser is free around the crouch area. Okay, and after marking that, those are like the main points we need for this. Remember, we already gotten our full length measurement. I'm just going to just label that. Now the next thing I want to get is my crouch extension. To do this, go ahead and divide your round hip by 20, and then add 1 inch to whatever you get. So mine was 2.5. By the time I finished dividing, I added 1 inch to that, 3.5. So you're going to mark this at the hip point, the crouch point, and also at the waist. You just go ahead and mark them together, and then you connect it. So this is to ensure that that crouch area is free. Okay, now to get the crouch curve, you're going to go up from this point by 1 inch, and then use your free hand to just create a curve to the end, like so. Okay, so this is what we have for our front piece. We'll go ahead to just cut it out. So what you want to do next is to just open up the close end on this. So this is what we have for the front piece. We'll go ahead later to work on it to get our pocket. So the next thing I want to do is to fold up another piece for the back. So your back should be at least 5 inches wider than what you had in front. Okay, so remember, in front I had 19 inches, so plus 5 inches extra to give me the width I need, and it should also be longer. Now I'm going ahead to place my front piece on top of this, ensuring I have allowances at the crouch area. Okay, ensuring that the extension at the front, the back, I have allowances for my crouch extension, and I'm just going ahead to pin them in place to keep it so that I can work on this perfectly. Now after ensuring that this is well pinned, the next thing we're going to do is that from the front the front side, the front piece of our crouch area, you go in by 2 inches. Okay, you go ahead and mark it down. So the measurement is taken from the front. Okay, go in by 2 inches, and then you're going to replace that 2 inches to the side. Ensure that it is placed on the same line, because you don't want one part of your fabric, like the back, to be longer than the front. Now we're going to extend the back by 1.5 inches, and we are going to make a slanted line to meet that point we marked at the side. Now if you're on a big butt side, you want to extend your back by 2 inches, and if you're in a smaller butt size, you want to extend by one. Now take this is very important to take note of, so that you don't have that opening at the back even while making your other trousers. Now for the back crouch, we're just going to extend it by 2 inches for the back. Okay, we're just extending the back crouch by 2 inches. Like I said, ensure that you're taking your measurements on the right side, and after that, just go ahead to just create a curve to meet what you have at the top. So ensure that the crouch for the front and that of the back, they are aligned, like they're on the same length. Okay, or on the same frequency, going to the same area, and then just go ahead and just create a curve for this. So you can also use the pattern we used in front to get that curve. Now for the back, we're going to be adding our zip. So from that point, I just came down by 10 inches for the length of my zip, and I'm marking 1 inch for my zip allowance width. Okay, because we're cutting this together with our fabric. So just going ahead to mark 1 inches down to that point where the zipper will end, and then we'll connect it together. And then when you get to that point to end, you just create a bit of curve into that. All right, now we have that down. Now the next thing we want to take note of again, so I'm just going to cut this out first, and then we're going to just continue with this. Okay, we're supposed to just finish drafting this before we start cutting off. So I'll just take off this part, and then I will explain what we're going to do next. So after taking off that part, now remember we already have like 6 inches extra for this piece. Okay, which is much. It's going to give us our pleats, and it's going to give us our pleats. So we don't want any excess at the back. I'm not adding any allowance to the back. So from the back crouch, as you can see, I just made a slanted line connecting it to that point. So to get that line accurately, what you want to do is to mark your knee point, and then you just connect that curve coming from the crouch to the knee point. So we're going to just take off the excess we have at the side. Okay, now for this other side too, you're just going to do the same thing. You're connecting that back to the hip area for the side, so that you don't have any excess, and just go ahead to just cut off your piece. So this is what we have now for the back and the front. We're not adding that to this. Okay, so this is what we have. Now I'm going to just keep the back piece aside, and then we work on the front. But before then, what we're going to do to the back is to take it to the machine and just stitch it by 1/2 inch, and stop at that point where our zip is going to start from. So just stitch it down by 1/2 inch to that point. All right, so I'll just keep this aside. Now for the front piece, we're going to be having pockets on this. Now to create the pocket opening for this, I'm just going to pin this down. Okay, my fabric was actually, I worked with a Duchess, like I said, so it was moving quite a lot. So you know that some fabrics you work with, you have to ensure that you're careful while working with them. So after ensuring that I had this well placed, I'm going to measure 7 inches for the length of my pocket. Okay, and then I'm going to use a width of 2 inches. So I was ensuring that I marked that well, and then I'm going to use a width of 2 inches for my pocket opening, and I'll go ahead to mark it out. Okay, so after marking that 2 inches point, I'm just going to use my free hand to create a curve to that point, and I will take it off. Okay, now for the pocket bag, I've gone ahead to cut out this piece. I actually have two of it for this piece. It measures 11 inches in width, and then 8 inches, sorry, 11 inches in length, and then 8 inches in width. Okay, that's when it is on fold. It is 8 inches on fold, meaning it is 16 inches in total. Then I'll just place my piece on top, my main piece for the front, and I'll trace out one side. So you can see that I open this up to trace out one side for the pocket. Okay, so after doing that, what I'll do to the front piece now is to go over to the machine. I'm going to be attaching my pocket. Now I'm making a notch at the point I'm attaching to the pocket. Okay, ensure to mark the wrong side of your fabric. So for the couch, you will just go ahead and just stitch it down by half of an inch, and after that you go ahead and attach your pocket to the point it's going to sit. So this is what it looks like for the front. After I finish doing that, I've attached my pocket. So ensure to not stitch it at the top yet. Okay, that's the top part of the pocket. Don't close it up with the main piece of your fabric yet. Okay, we usually just stitch it close at that point. So don't stitch it down yet, because it's going to affect when you want to pleat. So for the back piece, I've also just stitched the crouch just like I said. Now I'm going to align my piece right side to right side and go ahead and stitch it by the sides. So this is what it looks like after I finish stitching by the sides. This is what it looks like for the front and the back. So this fabric was fraying a lot, but I had to work with it. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to align the crouch area. You want to pin it down, work with your pins. Okay, ensure you just pin it down, and after doing that, go ahead and stitch it by half of an inch on both sides. So I finished, and this is what it looks like. So this is actually a simple tutorial. Okay, it's easy, it is straightforward. Now the next thing we want to do is to create our pleats. So what you want to do is to mark out at the back area. What you're going to do is to mark out your zip allowance, and then from that point you're going to take quarter of your round waist towards the side, and then you mark it down. So just watch what I'm doing in front. I'm just explaining for the back. So for the front, you measure from that center point where you marked, where you join together, sorry, and then you measure quarter of your round waist to the side, like towards the pockets area, and then you just create a fold at that point and you pin it down. You do the same thing to the other side of the front, but for the back, you're going to, since we've not joined the back yet with the zipper, you're going to minus that your zipper allowance, and then you measure from your zipper allowance, which is 1 inch in this case. You measure quarter of your round waist to the side also. So the pleating is coming to the side. Now, if you want it to be double, like you want, instead of 1, which I have for this, you want it to be double, you can just divide what you have, the excess you have after measuring quarter of your round waist. You can simply just divide that and create 2 pleats or 3, or from the beginning of cutting this, you can add more than 6 inches, just like we did while we we're cutting. So after doing that, you make a stitch at that point. Now you can just stitch down the pockets areas at the top, okay, to create the side pleats. So this is what I have. So you can see this is one for the one side. They're all coming to the side. Like I said, if you want to create more pleats, you can absolutely do that by adding more allowances to your piece while at the initial stage. So now the next thing I want to do is just go ahead and fix my zip to the end. So this is what it looks like after fixing my zip. I'm just going to take off the excess at the top because I actually worked with a long zip. I didn't have a short one. And I've gone ahead to also fold up the edge of my trouser. I just hemmed it firstly and then went ahead to stitch it to make it stay in place. So I'm going to just cut off the excess I have at this, and then we're going to go on to fix the band. Now for the band, I've gone ahead to cut out a piece, measuring out what I had around the waist of my piece, and then I added about 15 inches to this because I wanted to like create a berth at the end. Now remember I said I want my band to be 1.5 inches by the time I finish, so I cut out a band of 4 inches and then I folded one part. So now, and then I also ironed my hair stay to it. Now what I'm trying to do is to create like a shape for the edge of my belt. I didn't want it to be all triangle, so I'm all squared up, so I'm trying to create like a triangular shape. So I just used my free hand to just create a shape there, and then I will just cut it out. You can absolutely leave it the way it is, or you can just simply fix your band around this, okay, and not do what I'm doing right now. Okay, it totally depends on your preference and what you want. So I'm repeating the same process on the other side. That's to create that shape at the edge. I'm going to just, what I did was to go down by 2 inches on the open area and then just curved it back to the other end, and then I will cut it out. So what I'm going to do next, you can see the shape I have at that end. So what I'm going to do next now, I'm going to I'm going to pin this around. I'm taking the midpoint of my band so that I can align it to my piece. So now from the center of the front, take note, from the center of your front piece, you're going to place the midpoint of your band to that center of the front. So you're going to align them together. So I folded both ends, half inch on both ends of my band inwards. Now I'm going to place the waist of my palazzo in between that fold, that half inch. Remember the half inch we added earlier. So you're going to place this in between, and then you're going to pin them all round. Pin it all round. Take your time, ensure you're placing them properly, and then you pin. So you notice that I was checking while you're doing yours. Ensure to also check the back so that it is properly tucked in. They are both aligning well, so that by the time you finish stitching, the front band and the back band, they are aligning as they should. So you can see I'm going to just do the same thing to the other side, align them properly. You can also extend the band, like the rope at the back, if you decide to create a belt like I did for mine. You can just extend yours. So I'm just ensuring that I place this properly, and then now, after ensuring that I have this, i'm going to I'm going to take this over to the machine. I'm actually making the point at where this stops. Then I'll take this over to the machine. This open ends now where I don't have the waist. I'm going to take this over to the machine, and then I will stitch it down. So ensure you're stitching on that half of an inch allowance. Ensure you're stitching on that half of an inch allowance. Okay. So you're going to mark where the waist of your trouser ends. Okay, you mark that on the band, and then you stitch to that point. You repeat the same thing to the other side also. Turn it over to the right side, and then you iron it up. Simple. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and do that. So this is what it looks like after I finished. I also went ahead to just close up the band. Remember, we already pinned that just to close it down. So this is the finished look of our trouser. You can just create a simple bowl at the back. If you want yours to be longer, you can absolutely do that. So let me know in the comment section if you found this video helpful, and if you're yet to subscribe to the channel and you're here at the end of this video, please do well to subscribe. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can just let me know. So before wearing this, ensure to give this a good press. Thank you for watching, and bye.